welcome back. So today we're going in with another Get Ready With Me story time. This story today that I'm going to be telling is, I guess, a love story. I feel like a lot of people over romanticize this story, and I'm just not with it like that. Like, I don't think it's so romantic. Like, I think there's a lot we can learn from the story, and I do think it's a really interesting story. However, I'm here to tell y'all, like, I don't really like to be like, oh, you know, this is how I'm gonna base me finding a man or whatever. So the story is set in a town, and we meet a woman called Naomi, and she is married to a man called Elimelech. I think that's how you say it. And basically she has two sons with her husband, and her two sons eventually get married to women from this town that they're in, because basically they're not originally from this place. And then what happens is, unfortunately, Naomi's husband dies. So she's left, she's widowed, but obviously she still has her two sons, and she also still has her daughters-in-law. I think a year later, or 10 years later, her two sons actually also pass away. And so this is obviously really a tragic thing for her, and, you know, she's left, you know, without any children, and only with her daughters-in-law. And I believe at this point her daughters-in-law actually haven't had children themselves, so like it's obviously just the daughters-in-law and the mother-in-law. So during this time where, you know, her sons have passed away, her husband's passed away, she actually decides that, you know, they're going to go back to where they're originally from, or where she's originally from, because obviously the girls are not from there. So the girls decide that they're going to go with her, you know, they'll follow her wherever they're going, and so they set off on this journey to go with Naomi to the town where Naomi is originally from. So as they're on their way to this town that Naomi is originally from, Naomi looks at them and she just feels bad, I guess, and she's just like, you know what, yeah, like, I think you guys should go home. Like, you guys should go home, you know, find men that you can marry. And they're like, no, we'll never leave you. Like, we love you so much. We will go wherever you go. And Naomi's like, well, even if you go with me, like, how can I look after you? Like, I don't have any sons to give you. And even if I do have sons now, what are you going to do? Like, wait till they're old enough to marry you? Like, that's not going to be a thing. Because I think back in the day, like, the culture was like, you know, you've married into a family, you kind of stay into that family that you've married into. So obviously it was disheartening. And one of the daughters-in-law, she turns away and she says, you know, I will actually go back. And obviously, you know, it's heartbreaking for her, but it's kind of the best decision at that point in time. The other daughter-in-law, however, so that first daughter-in-law, her name is Orpah, and the second daughter-in-law is actually called Ruth. Ruth, on the other hand, is like, I don't think I can leave you. I'm not gonna leave you. Like, let's go. Wherever you go, I will go. So she carries on with her mother-in-law, and they continue on to where her mother-in-law is from. So as they are appearing where they're from, like, they come and welcome them, and obviously they know Naomi, but Naomi's like, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara, which means, I think it's Mara, which means bitter. Naomi's feeling really disheartened, she's feeling really upset, because, you know, she feels like God has taken everything away from her. So she wants to change her name to Bitter. And it, you know, a lot of the time back in the day, like names held such a big weight of meaning. So she told everyone to call her Mara because she was bitter. And that was quite sad, because obviously she'd lost, you know, her baby, she'd lost her husband, and like she'd kind of lost her legacy, because it's like the sons that she did have, you know, they were supposed to carry on her name, but they couldn't, because they were dead and they didn't have children before they died. But obviously she still had Ruth, which was lovely because Ruth stuck by her mother-in-law. You know, she was with her to comfort her, to be with her, to look after her in her age. So Ruth took it upon herself to like go and find work and to go into the fields and try and find somewhere where she could like go and harvest crop.
Yeah.
Ruth decided she's going to go to a field and, you know, collect some barley or whatever, wheat from the field, and she asked the workers at the field if that's okay. So they say yeah, and she goes behind the harvester, stays at the back, does what she needs to do and works all day. She works really, really hard, and as she's working, she's noticed by the owner of the field, and it just so happened that the owner of the field is someone who is actually related to her father-in-law, so someone who's related to her mother-in-law by, I guess, marriage, but is related to, you know, the male side of the family that died. And so he sees her and he sees how hard she works, and he asks the people who, you know, work at the field, like, who is this black girl, like, who is she, and, you know, where did she come from, kind of thing. So they explain to him that she is Naomi's daughter-in-law, and that she's, you know, asked to work on the field, and they said that everything was okay. So, you know, he sees her and he looks favourably upon her. So, you know, he gives her water, and like when it's time for them to like eat dinner, the workers, he invites her to eat with them, gives her drink, and just makes sure that she's like okay while she's working there. So he really looks favourably upon her, and he's really, really kind to her, which is really cute. And I guess that's kind of why people kind of romanticize this story. However, like, if you like, I don't know, like, obviously he's a really kind man, he doesn't have to be kind to her, but like, I feel like it's kind of in his nature. And obviously, you know, like, she's being very dutiful, you know, looking after her mother-in-law, and that's something that they really like respected in that time. So I think they really respected her, and they really were like, wow, like, this woman, she didn't really need to be here kind of looking after her mother-in-law, but yet here she is doing exactly that and doing it at the best that she possibly could. First day, Ruth goes home and she asks, and obviously Naomi asks her how the day was and like what field she went to, and before she goes home, like, Boaz Boaz gives her food to take back for her mother-in-law, and gives her, like, you know, extra stuff in abundance, just so that she's well looked after. So he really does take favour upon her and looks after her really, really well. So when she gets home now, Naomi asks her, like, oh, whose field have you been in? Like, how was the day, kind of thing. And obviously Ruth gives her the lowdown, tells her it's Boaz, and Naomi obviously knows him because they're relatives, and she says, you know, Boaz is like one of our closest living relatives of your husband, of my late husband, so yeah, like, it's good to kind of stay in his field. So she stays working in Boaz's field, and obviously Boaz says to her, like, stay in our field because you'll be safe, you know, like, and he tells all the workers to, like, be kind to her and to even, like, drop extra food and harvest for her so that she would get more. So, like, she always had abundance, which again I think is just so lovely, because he really just tried to take care of her, really did the most for her, and really just made sure that she was well looked after, and that she didn't have to worry about anything. And obviously, like, Ruth was really hardworking as well. Like, he saw that hardworking spirit in her, and obviously wanted to, you know, ease her burden, which again I think is really a beautiful character trait. And I'm not saying that there aren't beautiful character traits in this story of, like, her husband and things like that, but when people say, oh, I'm looking for the Boaz to my Ruth, I'm just thinking, like, Boaz, like, I don't know if you guys can tell from the story already, but Boaz is actually quite an older man than Ruth. Like, he's not her age mate, like, you know, he would probably be her uncle, like he'll probably be around like her father-in-law's age. So obviously she married his son, and I'm sure that she married his son out of love, and he wasn't even from like her ends, so she could have easily gone back to her ends. But it just shows so much about Ruth's dedication to her family and Ruth's dedication to her mother-in-law and her love. So Ruth was working on the field for quite a while, and then it came to a point where Naomi decided that, you know, Ruth was obviously her daughter-in-law, was looking after her, but it wasn't good, especially in those times, to just be a woman like by yourself. So obviously Ruth had married Naomi's son, and, you know, she married him, obviously expected to have a longer life with him and children and stuff, and now she didn't have someone. So Ruth said it's time to kind of, you know, find your man, you know, get yourself taken care of. She was like, you know, get yourself taken care of for a long time. And obviously back in the day, like, it was a man that took care of a woman. You didn't really take care of yourself. So you know, she said to her, you know, she gave her specific instructions of what to do in order to go get her a man. And obviously the man that was in question here was Boaz. And the reason why as well is that, you know, in the story they call Boaz her family redeemer. So they say that Boaz is the person that is going to redeem the family, and I guess that means kind of like redeem the family name, so to make sure that, you know, they have children and obviously sons that can carry on the last name. And that was really important back in the day, to carry on the family name, because the family name held so much weight. So she gives her specific instructions. She tells her to go to the threshing floor, and I like late at night wait till Boaz has finished doing his work, and then uncover his feet and lay down at his feet. So with this story, I think this is to mean that, you know, he would lay with her or not lay with her, because back in the day in the Bible it did say that, you know, when people had sex that they were like married. So she goes, oh yeah, and she also makes her dress up, like have nice perfume, smell good, all of that good stuff. So she's, you know, she's ready for this man and she is desirable. So Ruth does exactly as she's told. I'm not gonna lie, like, I get, like, Boaz probably a really nice man, but I feel kind of sorry for Ruth, because like, she married a young man, you know, she thought this was her life, and, you know, she was dutiful to her like mother-in-law. But it's mad, because like, imagine your husband dying and then marrying his uncle, like, or like trying to give yourself up to his uncle just because you have to carry on the family name. And I know that it was Ruth's choice, because she could have done exactly what her other sister-in-law did, Orpah, and like go back to her town and marry someone else. But like, I don't know, like, obviously because of duty and love and honor she stayed. I don't know, it's still a bit sad to me, but I do think like we can learn so much from Ruth, and like her honor, and just how, like, you know, like how loyal she was. Like, I think that that's a really beautiful trait to kind of have. So yeah, so she does this, she goes, and Boaz falls asleep. Like, he doesn't see her there until he wakes up. So he wakes up and he sees her, and he's like, you know, oh, honoured or whatever, and he obviously gets why she's there. But instead of like laying with her, well, I guess sleeping with her, he says to her, I would like kind of love to be your redeemer, love to, you know, be the one who, I guess, saves you. But what I need you to know is that there's someone else who could potentially be the family redeemer, who's of closer relation. So I guess who, like, the person who was entitled to her, or entitled to her, was someone who was of closer relation. So he said, you know, I'm gonna go and ask this person whether they want you, and if not, then I'll have you, basically. So guys, can you see why I'm like, this isn't the most romantic story in the world? Because it really is not. Like, it's really not this like beautiful beautiful, romantic, like, oh my god, like, I wish that, like, someone said that to me story. No, like, come on. So, like, and then in the morning he tells her to wake up early so that she's not seen, like, obviously to bring shame, like, you know, oh, she was laying with him in the flesh and for like, damn, she thirsty or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, so in order for her, like, not to be seen, he wakes her up early in the morning and says go, and he obviously gives her food, gives her and Naomi food to go, and he says that he's gonna get back to her ASAP and let her know what the deal is, like, who she'll belong to at the end of it. Again, you guys understand, I'm a modern woman, I guess, but yeah. So that's what happens. She goes back home to Naomi, she tells Naomi everything that happened, and Naomi says, do you know what, don't worry, this man is a noble man, and by the end of today, he, like, won't let the day go down without us knowing who and what is about to happen, like, who we gonna give you to, like, how you gonna be part of this family forever, you know what I mean? So what now happens is that the person who is, I guess, higher up in the entitlement to Ruth and their family name, Boaz calls a meeting with this person and asks that, yeah, that some elders be there as well, just so that he has witnesses to show, you know, what was going on or whatever, I don't know. So they call this meeting, and Boaz doesn't start by saying, oh, I want you to marry Ruth. He doesn't say, oh, you know, there's a daughter, you know, part of the family or whatever that I want you to marry. What he does state is, you know, that his relative that died, which is Naomi's husband, has land that he's entitled to as the, like, first family redeemer, and the man instantly says, oh yes, like, I'll take that land, don't you worry, because he's like, oh, like, I could take the land, but, like, obviously I had to come to you first because you were the most entitled to it. So the man's like, yeah, of course I'll take the land, like, that's fine. And then he says, but in order to take the land, you first need to take Ruth with it. Like, Ruth comes with the land, basically. Like, you can't have the land without having Ruth. And then the guy says something about it messing up his own affairs, kind of thing. So he goes, oh, you know what, yeah, I don't really need the land, too tough, you can have it. And you can have her too. So basically, Boaz then, I guess not wins, because he was just, like, fulfilling his duty, but yeah, he gets Ruth and he also gets the land, which again to me is a little bit sad, because it's like, wow, like, come on, man, she's a woman, she's not a piece of meat. But again, back in the day, so no judgment, that is what they did. That all happened, and we have my girl Ruth, who has now been promised to Boaz, and that's about to be her man forever or whatever. So yeah, just like that, Boaz was now, I guess, in possession of Ruth, and I think obviously that would have been nice for her, because at least she knew him. Like, imagine the other guy had one, she didn't even know this guy, like, you know, she never even met him before, she didn't even see him or whatever, and suddenly, you know, she now had to marry this man who she didn't know. But yeah, so just like that, Boaz, you know, kind of redeemed Ruth and allowed her to carry on the family name. And, you know, obviously Naomi must have been overjoyed, because she would have had, you know, a grandchild that was of relation to her. And I was going to mention something else. I can't remember now. But yeah, basically, you know, Ruth now got to marry Boaz, and I think, oh yeah, that's what I was going to mention. I think with the Bible, like, there's nothing done in the Bible for no reason, and I believe that the way that he initially posed it to the guy about it being about land, and then, like, adding the fact that Naomi was included in this was really important, because maybe if he had done it the other way round, the other man would have actually wanted sorry, I said Naomi, Ruth would have actually wanted Ruth, and then it would have been a bit of a sticky, messy situation. But yeah, he initially just said, you know, it was about land, and then he added her. So I think that might have been kind of a strategic move from Boaz. So yeah, they eventually had a son, and they called him Obed. And Obed actually Obed was Jesse's father, and Jesse was King David's father. If you know who King David in the Bible was, he was described as a man after God's own heart, and he's a really important, big character in the Old Testament. So yeah, like obviously all of this was for a purpose, like it was for a duty, and I'm pretty sure that that's in the lineage of Jesus as well. So it's like crazy because, you know, out of I guess Ruth's obedience, because even though she followed her mother-in-law, she might have just followed her mother-in-law because she loved her. Like she didn't have to go and, you know, lay down for some man, or, you know, try and redeem their family name. She could have may well like met someone from a different family and like stayed there instead, but she was so dutiful and so obedient to her mother-in-law that she literally did everything that her mother-in-law like kind of instructed of her. She didn't even waver just a tiny bit, you know. She did exactly what her mother-in-law expected of her, and you know, she was happy about it. She was, you know, loyal, she was obedient, she was loving, and I think that was just really nice to kind of see. Like she had every opportunity to turn around and just say, nope, this is not for me, this is really weird, like this man is old. And even in like when Boaz kind of approaches her, when she approaches Boaz, he's like, oh, you know, you've done so well, like you're an amazing girl, because you could have found someone older, whether they were rich or, you could have found someone younger, whether they was richer or poorer, you came to me to kind of like carry on the family legacy, which I think he really admired from her. Like he really, you know, thought, wow, like, you know, little old me, when really and truly you could have been with anybody, like you chose me, like I'm an old man and you out here just like laying on my feet and stuff, like wow. So yeah, I think she really brought honor and just she really brought honor to her name and to the family name, and obviously her obedience brought out fruit that God intended to use for his glory. So I think that's what we can really learn from this story. So guys, this is the final Ruth inspired look. And I think, yeah, I went for these colours because I just see Ruth being very soft but also really warm and really just, you know, like, I don't know, she just reminds me of sunshine. So I think from this story, the takeaway that we can get is that, you know, when we're obedient and when we are just, like when we have standards and morals that we follow, like God can bring fruit out of it, beautiful fruit, and also favor. Like if we look at the story from the beginning, like as soon as Ruth and Naomi got to this place, Ruth was in a completely foreign land. However, you know, she realized the duty that she had upon her shoulders with her mother-in-law to kind of take care of her, to kind of make sure that she was good, to make sure that, you know, she was looked after, and to also make sure that she was like bringing honor to the family name. She found work, and as soon as she did that, favor followed. It was like in that one step of obedience, in that one step of just going out there and doing what she felt God had told her to do, everything else followed. She was favored, you know, with the food, with the crops, with the people. Like, you know, Boaz saw her and he said, you know what, this woman, she's dutiful, she's looked after Naomi, she's been there. So in that small part of obedience, she was noticed, and then she was looked after, favor was upon her, so many things were upon her. It was just beautiful to see that, you know, they saw the hard work that she had been putting in, and then she ate the fruits from that. She was able to eat the fruits from that. She was able to, you know, carry on the family name. She was able to bring honor to Naomi, and it even says that Naomi loved Obed as if he was her own child. Naomi looked after him, you know, so Naomi's even like bitterness was gone and she was restored, you know. So it was a beautiful story of just like, I would say love, but I think the love story is more about, you know, Naomi and Ruth rather than Ruth and Boaz. And I really don't understand why people over romanticize and say, oh, you're looking for your Boaz. I'm really not looking for my dead husband's uncle to come and give me favor. That's not what I'm looking for. Like, I'm sorry, that's not the love story that I'm gonna ask God to come and bring me. Like, yes, a man like Boaz is amazing, he looked after her, but he was an old man. He, you know, it was out of duty and out of honor that she married him. I'm sure maybe love followed, but that and obviously that's how it was in those days, in circumstances like that. But in today's 2020, in this day and age, I don't know why people are out here looking for their Boaz. Beats me. But I think we can learn a lot from Ruth, and I hope that this encourages you guys to go and read the story and to go and engage with the Bible a bit more. Comment down below if you have any particular stories in the Bible that you'd like me to do. I'm feeling a blue look, so I have a story in mind for a blue look, but you guys comment down below if you can think of one. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying doing these, and I think this is one of the stories that I kind of ran to very quickly early on in my walk, because I wanted to know what all the fuss was about. I wanted to know what this whole like Boaz person is that I'm supposed to be looking for, and then I saw him and I was like, this is not who I'm looking for. But hey ho, each to their own, different strokes for different folks. And please, if you guys haven't already, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. Stay blessed. Love you guys. Mwah. What was that? Mwah. Turns it around. He says, look, 360. He was like, no ma'am, you're not about to make a fool out of me and my children. No.